Today we're gonna talk about my first impression on the upcoming new 6-star character, Smokey. Smokey is a fire attribute converter who I personally was very excited for. When I saw that she's a fire converter, I was even more hyped. But that kind of stopped very fast when I realized that she's kind of a weird mix of a resetter and a teleporter. But before I continue ranting, let's talk about her active skill, Steaming Hot. This skill lets Smokey teleport to any tile within 2 surrounding clusters, dealing 350% damage to 2 surrounding clusters of the location you teleported to, and resets all non-red tiles within that area. This is the weird mix I mentioned earlier. She combines resetting with another form of utility, similarly to, for example, Raphael. In this case, a teleport. The teleport is reminiscent of Sharona's, but with slightly higher damage and the demerit of severely limited range. Generally, resetting is a very underwhelming mechanic as it doesn't really get rid of the RNG of the map and just creates more, and also makes this skill have an unnecessary high cooldown. It's just a very inconsistent and unreliable way to convert tiles that's very top heavy, as it only gets a better chance to actually convert tiles by getting the character to max breakthrough, which pretty much means that most reset characters are whale territory if they don't offer anything else that makes them worth using over other already available options. Considering everything we've just talked about, one could say her active skill isn't that hot, after all. No? Okay. Her chain combo called Blazing Inferno starts at 4, dealing 150% damage to 12 tiles in a diamond shape, similar to Sinza. This goes up at 9 plus to 160% damage and 16 tiles in a splatter shape. Her final CB requires at least a 12th chain and bumps the range to 2 surrounding clusters. Let's finish this up by checking out her equipment. Her equipment with the name Manticore's Flames lets her trigger a Manticore's Kiss every time she attacks an enemy with an active skill, a chain combo, or the first time she hits them with a basic attack every round. This deals death-ignoring damage with a 100% attack scaling. It decreases every time you trigger it, down to a minimum of 20% of the initial damage. This is basically a stronger version of Karin's additional damage effect. That's part of his equip, but in Smokey's case, it also applies to her active skills and auto attacks, which makes this on paper a very powerful equip. But we can't forget that Smokey is in the Converter class, which means her stats are gonna be on the lower side. I do, however, believe that her stats are quite similar to Carleen or Uriel, based on the clip we saw in the preview video. But all in all, she's still suffering by being in this class, and she's still gonna end up having way inferior stats compared to an actual DPS character. This combined with the fact that the inclusion of a reset in her skill is probably gonna end up giving her a 4 or 5 turn CD, which is generally pretty devastating for a TP. Especially if you're not gonna roll for the juicy preemptive strike that is very likely to be her breakthrough free. In conclusion, she looks like a sub-DPS with some decent utility, who's average at best if you're not a whale who's gonna max breakthrough her. She's very likely to suffer from a very similar case that Uriel and a lot of other fire attribute characters and also reset characters are suffering from. Her true potential that takes her over the edge being locked behind breakthroughs to get that higher reset chance. So for most people that already have good converters like AC and Fast, Smokey's probably end up being a skip. Unless you're like me and are still gonna roll for her because of the waifu factor. I would still suggest to try to aim for the 5-star fire teleporter Genevieve, as she looks a lot more promising. If you disagree with anything or just have an opinion to share, just comment down below, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more. That was all from me, have a nice day and see you next time.